Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the TBM crew. And today I'm with my beloved friend Larry from the Horror Fan Club Kenya. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Mar. How are you? I am perfect. I am well. Been better, but yes.
I was looking forward to talking to you. It's been a few weeks now.
Yes, a few grueling weeks. We had our camp activity over the Easter holiday. That went well. We
Yeah.
met up with some of the horror fan club members. We
Okay.
watched a couple of horror movies and went hiking on a mountain. That was
Oh,
tough. Yeah.
you have it on your Instagram, right? That people can see it there.
Yes, we are uploading our pictures and videos on Instagram. Hopefully, I'll be not too busy. I'll upload some of the videos as well there.
Yes. And today we have a very cool topic. We talked about this in one of the lives we made, but
Mm-hmm,
very short time, right?
mm-hmm. I'm curious. We talked a lot
Yes.
about
Today we're
in
going
our
to talk
lives.
about haunted places. Yes, you forgot.
Oh my goodness. Haunted houses. Where
I
do
see you
we
have
even?
prepared this a lot.
Yes, like there's so much. Oh, okay, fine, fine. I'll let you lead the conversation.
It just white. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know in your country, but here we have a lot of very old buildings, like 1,000-year-old buildings. I don't know if you got
Mm.
that in your country.
In our country, let me even just cite an example we cited in our live. Like we do
Okay.
have a lot of haunted houses. Okay,
Mm.
buildings that are considered haunted houses because they are old, simply because they were built during like maybe the colonial era, 19 in the early 90s, mid 90s, around that particular time period.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
once we got independence and like maybe the British people moved or the Indian people moved away or the
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese people moved away, so they left these houses abandoned, and we Africans, I think, sort of like had this mentality that we don't want to move into, certain or into these houses because they're deemed
Okay.
foreign and we
Yeah.
don't know what people were doing. And originally we assumed like, Africa,
Yes.
anybody who's white, we don't
Yeah.
know what they are about. So we sort of like
Mm-hmm.
condemned these buildings. We sort of
Yes.
not moved into it. So currently, like most of the old houses that are considered haunted are
Mm-hmm.
around maybe the coastal areas and a couple of like mountainous areas here in Kenya. That's why like they are considered haunted.
Yeah.
Case in point, where I live, like
Yes.
less than a kilometer away, there's a haunted house. And
Oh, have you
yes,
gone there?
and uh, yes, we did. I
Of
actually
course,
did
of
one.
course. Stupid question, Mar.
I went there I think last year is when like I gathered my, you know, my guts and decided, you know what, I've been seeing this house from like afar when I'm crossing the road. I've been hearing
Yes.
stories. I was like, why not? So I took like that time I was working for like a media house, so I had like the press card, so I wanted to use it as an excuse to like go
Mm-hmm.
into the house. So
Yes.
I went there and I knocked at the gate. And then there was this old man who looked like he's in his 60s. He had like a really old cap. You know, those kind of in horror movies, those kind of people you
Yes.
meet at gas stations
Yeah.
at like long stretches. That kind of person was like, "What do
Yes.
you want?" I'm like, "Hi, I'm from
Who
ABCD."
disturbs me?
Who disturbs our household? I was like, "Hey, I'm from ABCD Media House and I want to do a story on you." So he's like, sorry, we cannot allow that. I'm like, why? We just want to come in
Why?
and film. And then he came up with the lamest of excuses. I hope, okay, maybe it's true, but to me it sounded like an excuse. So like, so our owner is not here, our owner is not around, and you need proper permission to shoot. So
Yeah.
while we were doing that, when he was giving that, like, explanation, my
Yes.
camera person was like sort of trying to sneak a little to sneak like some
Yes.
shots in, like through the gate where the guy was standing. He was like trying to zoom in
Yeah.
to the house, like you.
With a
So
telescope.
what yes. So after like a little bit back and forth,
Yes.
after trying to convince him to no avail, he was like, "No, you can't do this," and then he shut the door. So like we looked at the footage, we are like, we just saw like some pipes and like some really old, like overgrown hedges in the building. It's like an apartment
Yes.
complex. So like, he thinks he's smarter than us. So what we did, we actually went to a nearby apartment,
Uh-huh.
went into the house like that overlooks now the haunted house, and
Yes.
asked the person if we can shoot like a video from his balcony into
Uh,
the compound. And that's how we got like shots of like really creepy shots of the haunted houses, of like the place is so old. Like, all right, let me give you
yes.
like a backstory of the house. Like the
Okay.
house
Yes.
was built by like an Indian person. Okay, legend says the Indian
Mm-hmm.
person was sort of like a rich business mogul in the
Mm-hmm.
town. So
Yes.
he built this house for his family and his people. So after the house was completed, it was fully furnished. Everything was okay. Fridges, furniture, microwave ovens. What are they called? These things that wash clothes. Washing
The
machines.
washing
All right.
machines.
Yes. So on the day of the launch of the opening of the apartment complex,
Yeah.
apparently it was built on like sacred ground.
Mm-hmm.
It was believed that the business mogul had acquired the money in a not legal way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it was blood money, so to speak. Okay,
Mm.
that's what people are saying. Those are the rumors. So on the day of opening, like when this family and the people who are going to move in came in, it is some stories say that when they entered the gates
Yes.
and went to the parking lot, they found themselves in sort of like a loop. So once they go to park at the parking lot, they'd find themselves outside. Like like nobody could enter the building. Like, so it was sort of like a loop. Like people couldn't enter. And when they tried leaving their cars well inside the building, they would
Yeah.
suddenly some unseen force would start like beating them up. I don't buy that because I'm not into I don't believe too much in like supernatural entities. But yeah, that was basically the story. Nobody could leave, could enter
Yes.
the building, and if you tried getting out from your car while inside the compound, someone would start beating you up. So basically, they just left, and they left everything that they had,
Yes.
in their furniture and everything. So later on, they tried to like sort of like put this property into someone else's name, a Kenyan possibly, but no Kenyan would allow it. So basically, I just left the building there, gathering dust. So what we recorded while we were shooting from, the adjacent apartment complex was just
Mm-hmm.
basically like the ruins. Like it looks just so old. Like it had this creepy, eerie feeling of um the compound was just overgrown with bushes. The
Yeah.
windows were broken. You could see like some of the cabinets were opened. Uh, who knows how? Because nobody's ever gone into, unless that old man was like living there.
But it's
But
it's it's strange because you
it's strange.
close
Yeah,
them once you have used
yeah,
them, right? I mean,
yes.
why are they opened? That's
Why are they
creepy.
open?
Yes.
Exactly. So that is one of the haunted houses that I
That's
can personally
amazing.
attest to. I can personally attest to. So yeah, it is. Other than that, I think like most of the haunted houses are more like just basically apart other than like the old houses that were
Hmm?
left over during the colonial period. Another category of like haunted houses here in Kenya are houses that are considered to house witches,
Yeah.
or just are built on sacred grounds, which kind of sort of reminds me of one story a friend of mine gave me. I think I gave it in the live, but just a
Yes.
brief summary of it. This person built on sacred ground, a tiny like
Hmm.
chain of like shops, and
Yes.
in these shops people would buy their supplies, and when they come over the next day they would find the supplies missing. Like, you would walk into your shop and open your shop and wait for your customers to come, and when your customer comes and maybe, for example, he asks for like maybe soda, and then when the shopkeeper would look back, they would find there is no soda, and
Ah.
initially in the morning there was soda. So like that was another story of like creepy
Hmm.
haunted houses that are here in Kenya. Most of them are just basically from those two categories: old pre-colonial like houses,
Yes.
and basically just houses that are built over sacred ground, or that are housed or were believed to house witches.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
But they are very different from the stories we
Yeah.
have here, because
Ooh.
normally the most famous, it's not that everyone knows them, but if you investigate a bit, you can read about them, are from the 19th 18th century, in really big rich houses or even castles. We have a lot of castles here, that in the medieval era there were like all these noble people, but then they were like rehabilitated by rich people in the 1850 or something like that. And there's a lot of creepy stories in these buildings, because it seems that rich people had very dark affairs, because those were the ones having money to hire witches, to recollect blood from kids, to play all of these things. The poor people were just surviving. They were farmers. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like rich people was entertained with these occult things. And there's a lot of stories, also in monasteries. There's one that I like a lot, a lot, a lot, that it's from in the south of Spain. And there was that a rich family, I don't remember the name, and that they had a young daughter, like 17, 18 years. And it seems that she was one of those, I don't know, that she wanted to become a nun, but her parents didn't let her, because obviously they lose a daughter, if you just get closed in a convent. So they said no, absolutely not. And it seems that she was very caste and very all these kind of things of the girls that want to be a nun, and they wanted her to marry a boy from another rich family. And it seems that he was a very ugly person. I mean, ugly inside, that he was a very bad person. Not ugly. I don't know how he was physically. There's no records about that, but
Mhm.
it seems that he was a very nasty person. And he was like treating horribly all the people working for the family and all of those things. And she obviously didn't want to marry him. The thing is, one night, she had like a terrible dream, and like that she was starting with fever. I mean, she had a terrible night, and that same night, in his own house, he died. And so, yes, so the night after that, she didn't know he was dead, because in that time, communication, they couldn't just send a WhatsApp. So she didn't know that. And the next night, she had a dream where he appeared to her in flames, and took her forearm like this, took it strong.
Mhm.
And she says that it hurt like hell. It burned and burned. And he told her, hell is real. And he
Ooh.
disappeared. And when she woke up, she had a she had her arm burnt so much that she could see her bone.
Oof.
And yes, I mean, it was and it's recorded, because there are medical records of this, because obviously
Wow.
She had to go under surgery and all of that. And in that moment, in that age, that was a very ugly thing for a woman to have.
Mhm.
um she had to cover it all her life and all of that, and they have the thing that she wore here. She made like a jewel and she had it covered, and there's still that thing, and that's a story that I love so much, because I mean, I don't know, maybe it's all a lie and she just burned. But how do you burn like that, just a spot like this
Yes.
of your body? Because you just move away if you're burning, from a very little spot. So that's one
Mhm.
of the stories, and these are the kind of stories that we have
Mhm.
here. The
Mm.
lovers of kings that suddenly disappeared because obviously they were a problem in the way,
Yeah.
and they just wander off in the castles. We have this
Yeah.
kind of haunted houses, well, houses, castles and monasteries here. Hmm.
Oh my God. Like, do you believe, like, I think, sorry for the noise in the background, there's some construction happening.
My.
But do you think, like, a few generations after us, like, um haunted houses will still be a thing? Like, I think, like, maybe for example,
Hmm.
just thinking out loud, when you mentioned castles, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, like, most of these stories that we get
Hmm.
and some of this evidence that we decipher from, like, having haunted houses, maybe they
Yes.
were just meant to be part of something bigger. Like, maybe the agenda was just basically to not to create a story from it, or to create, like, to prevent people from doing something, or to prevent people from just interfering with certain property. Like, there's an article I read, like, just haunted
Yeah.
houses more of a fabrication to prevent people from trespassing,
Hmm.
from just walking into people's, like, property.
Hmm.
So that's why there was this,
Hmm.
theoretical assumption of, this house, how this house is haunted. Like, possibly, I think there was an article I was reading about haunted houses,
Yes.
and it not being factual. Basically, the theory behind haunted houses is just like a plot or a
Yeah.
ploy to prevent,
Mhm.
people from trespassing into
Ah.
people's property, or from
Yeah.
interfering in people's property. So,
Hmm.
because I'm not 100% convinced that supernatural entities exist. I do believe that paranormal activities do exist. So, the part of me that believes in haunted houses is
Yes.
just that paranormal activities are existent. But when it comes to supernatural entities, that's the percentage of me that makes me not believe in haunted houses.
Hmm. Paranormal
Yeah.
identities, do you mean like ghosts or like demons?
Is ghosts, demons. We are not going into a conversation about demons, but yes, I until, like, I basically see it with my own eyes,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is a supernatural entity, then I will
Yeah.
believe. But recently, I have come to, convince myself, rather, to believe in paranormal activities. Then again, those two can be, I don't know, can be split.
Yes.
This is just me thinking out loud.
Yes.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
paranormal activities do exist in terms of, uh, your life force. Like,
Yeah.
your life force has to emanate a certain amount of energy, be you alive, be you dead, and that is the cause of paranormal activities,
Yes.
paranormal happenings. But when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
supernatural entities, um, I'm pretty skeptical on that, and that's what makes me very
Yeah.
skeptical on, like, haunted houses.
I think it's a mix. I think in my opinion, I think that some of them are real and some of
Mhm.
them are not, because people just make up lots of stories just to have fun. So imagine if you don't want anyone in your property, but you would attract all the people like you that want to assault a haunted house. Also, so maybe it would be the opposite effect, like people jumping on
Yeah,
your roof. But I
exactly.
think, yes, I think it's both, because for example, I think the difference with 100 years ago and now in the houses, it's that now we rarely die in our houses. We all die normally. You die in the hospital, that's where normally, or in an accident or something like that. But I think the percentage of people that die at home because of an accident or something, it's very little. But back then, everyone died in their beds. So I think that's the reason why there are haunted places like abandoned hospitals or mental asylums. I mean, that's where or prisons. Those are the places where they have recorded the greatest paranormal activity, and I think that's the reason, because people die there without wanting to die, so I think maybe
Yeah.
that's the reason, maybe.
Bro.
But I don't know. I think the world has changed a lot too. I think it was very much more, how you call it, bloody before. Now it's bloody. There's still wars,
Yeah.
but it's not as bloody as before. I mean, we don't fight with axes, or they don't just cut heads off or torture people
Yeah.
anymore in the square of the village, so
Mm.
they just don't burn people alive. Or so I think that's why there's less paranormal activity in places now. Maybe I don't know what you
Exactly.
think.
Oh, I think you just mentioned like people dying in their houses, and then something just came to my head. This is just an interesting fact. Like I don't know if it happens in Spain, but in
Yes.
Kenya, when someone dies at home or
Yes.
is buried near their within their compound, um, there has to be a priest or someone from the clergy who comes to bless the house, and they
Mhm.
do rounds like going around like sprinkling holy water all over the house so as to prevent like in
Mhm.
my assumption, so as to prevent evil deeds and evil happenings
Yeah.
from occurring. So
Mhm.
in my defense, what I can say, we as Kenyans, why we do not have many haunted houses nowadays is again tied to like colonial times, because before
Yeah.
after colonialism, there were the missionaries who came to preach to us about Christianity
Yeah.
and the whole religious and aspect of it. So I think
Mhm.
that sort of like we sort of like fell on that. We sort of started now believing in Christianity, and now people started believing like, oh, in order to prevent like some of this
Yeah.
supernatural or paranormal activities, we just have to believe in religion and have
Mhm.
to have this code of conduct to prevent like evil from happening to us. So like nowadays, I think that's why like it has made a lot of people shy away from like believing in haunted houses. Like, oh, this house is haunted, all you have to do is just come and pray for it, and just
Yeah.
have someone from the clergy just come and go
Yes.
with it. So yeah,
Actually,
that's what I
that's
think.
yes. Actually, that's true. I mean, here maybe people. There's a very few people who would do that, but because there's very few people who really believe in God here. So, but there's a lot of people that call the priest to bless a new
Mhm.
house, for example. So I'm sure the same person that calls the priest to bless a new house will call him again if someone dies in it. I'm sure. So I think, yeah, I think that's a thing here too, for like a kind of community. But
Mm,
I think maybe because what you say, it's true, right? That there's a lot of recorded stories by the church and all of that, the exorcists, that the official ones, I mean, as these gurus, and
yeah.
that they have removed ghosts from houses, just
Uh,
setting a mass for them or something like that. There's a lot of recordings of that. And I'm thinking that
mhm.
sometimes maybe there's haunted houses that where they have been witches, that there's like diabolic entities in there. I think those are the ones that actually scare people more than
Yeah.
ghosts, because ghosts are just like wandering souls that stay there trying to take people's attention. But demons and all of these are the ones that can hurt you and all of that. And I think those are there because of rituals and witches and all of that. Thank you so much for your time, as always.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's topic.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Mar.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.